we here still countdown to the draft, NFC South style, but we are now talking about the NFC champs. Woo! Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we're going to talk about their draft, which myself did do a mock. This is my 1.0, and I'm going to show you the direction that I went. And I'm here obviously with my boys, man. What's up, y'all? What's going on?
What's good, fellas?
But anyway, let's get into it. Yes. With the first pick at number 19, Bucks fans in NFL, we got a top 3 player in this draft that falls to us. Because you don't want to know why many people think that running backs don't matter. But guess what? My head coach believes it. My offensive coordinator that's coming from Seattle, which all they did was draft running backs through his entire time he's there. They get the best prospect probably over the last couple of years in Bijan Robinson. I better say his name correct because that boy will correct you on the field. This is a steal of a pick. The Bucks better hope this happens. I've been saying it since January. I got hell for it. But now all of a sudden, with all the free agency stuff that we've done, it has lined up for us to pick up, if he's there, Bijan Robinson. I know it might be a little bit, obviously, we're picking at 19, and he is, like I said, a top 3 player in this draft. There are some teams in front of us that could possibly get him in front of us, but if we get past the teams like Seattle, hell, I even say the Atlanta Falcons, without them going after Bijan Robinson, I think we have a good shot of getting him, and we should be enlightened and happy as hell. I probably said the wrong word. I'll do them. But yeah, Bijan Robinson, number 1 pick. Hell of a steal. Second pick. So I was able to finagle a trade here with the Jacksonville Jaguars, which this is where I think the Bucks need to think about trading out a pick. First round, I'm not too big on that. I think they need to take the best player on the board, be it Brian Branch or, like I said, Bijan. But I was able to go back 4 picks and pick up that 4th round pick that we currently do not have and get Joe Tippmann. Joe Tippmann is one of my favorite offensive linemen in this draft. Jason Light was very clear at his press conference that we need to get a little more physical and more nasty inside. When we lost Ryan Jensen last year and we put Hainsley in there, he's a solid backup, but he does not have any nasty. He is a converted tackle to a center. He didn't have that power. Joe Tippmann as a Wisconsin lineman, he's going to have that. That'll be a hell of a pick. If we get him, he's very athletic. He will fit Dave Canales' scheme. And also he has that nasty that comes along with it, man. I love that pick. And number 3, 3rd round, number 3 pick that we get at 82, we get Jatavius Martin. I probably say his name wrong, but we call him Quan. That's all I know him by is Quan. Quan Martin out of Illinois. This is a place where I knew I wanted to kind of go safety here. And I did have players like Sidney Brown, Jamie Robinson on the board. But when I watched the tape of what Quan offered, because I lost on a Brian Branch in the 1st round, I had to come and get a player that also I think can play in the slot, right? And I think Quan has the best kind of cornerback skills that was the offer in that 3rd round. Definitely has some dog to him. I think he ran somewhere in the high 4.4s area. Mirrors very well, very twitchy. He can play in that slot. He can play against tight ends as well, not just running backs. Not running backs, wide receivers. One of my favorite safeties in this draft. I was happy to get him in the 3rd round. Now I picked up a 4th round pick, and I knew I wanted to add to the defensive line. KJ Henry, a player that we brought in, wasn't one of the formal guys that we brought in, but he's solid. I don't really like Clemson players that bad. When I watched him on the tape, definitely was a solid player. I think he was very sound. Did nothing great, but I didn't see him do a lot of things bad. He played the run well, decently good at rushing the passer. Has the size. He can play at 5 tech. You can sometimes bring him off the edge if you need to. He's just overall solid. I mean, right now, we hope that Shaq can come back and Joe Tryon can develop. And then also we brought in, obviously, Greg Gaines and Logan Hall underneath. and more probably Logan than anything else. Somebody that can compete there, or like I said, give you some reps also at edge as well. So I thought it was a pretty solid pick with KJ Henry. Owen Poppy, whatever you want to call that kid, out of Auburn. Seems like we get Auburn players every single year. This guy seems like one of the better linebackers in this draft. And if he can't do anything else, the kid can run. Guy ran like a 4.4 as a linebacker. Definitely comes with a little bit of thump. A little undersized. You definitely want to see him put a little more weight in the NFL. 6'2", around the same size that we like our linebackers. A lot, very quick, athletic. Obviously, we got Devin White with his situation, and Levante David, aging. You got to have somebody behind it. You definitely got to have somebody behind it that you can start developing right now. Cam Jones was another one that I really wanted, but I missed out on him. He somehow got drafted before I can get to him, but I'm not upset with Owen because I think his coverage ability is really good as well. He has a pretty high ceiling. I think if they're able to reach that, he can be a solid player to fill in one of our inside linebacker positions. Ryan Hayes at the 175th. I really like this pick. I am not the biggest on this tackle class, with probably Darnell Wright being my favorite. But Ryan Hayes, getting him, I think this is the 5th round I'm currently in. Very solid. Michigan lineman. Footwork, very good base. Mirrors very well. The one thing that he does need to do is get a little stronger. But overall, I like his tape. I think he'd be a solid tackle. He played both left and right tackle in Michigan. Jim Harbaugh, he does a good job with his offensive lineman, and I think this guy can be a solid piece that we can kind of develop along with all the other tackles that we currently have on the roster. And hey, who knows? He might be able to compete this year. We'll see. After that, Brenton Strange. This is an area where I definitely wanted to take advantage of a very deep tight end class. And I was able to get him. I think he's very solid. He'll bring a lot more explosion from the tight end position that I think we don't have with Cade Otton. I think he's a solid player. I see Cade Otton kind of like I see Cam Brate. Brenton Strange, solid pick there. Keandre Coburn, we just lost Nacho. And I think you now put depth behind, Greg Gaines and also Vita Vea. Big tackle between him and Mojo there in Texas. Those two were held in the inside. But this guy has a little bit more athleticism. I think he'll be a really solid pick at 181. I think that's actually a steal, to be honest. Dylan Horton, TCU. I watched a little bit of this guy, but at 196, you're getting some pop off the edge. Well, that's one thing I saw when I watched a little bit of tape of him. He definitely brought pop to the edge. I think he had double-digit sacks with TCU. Not really sure what a lot of his bad is, but I mean, he definitely can come in and compete. Again, another player maybe you can develop and be a safety net in case something Shaq's not ready, or I don't know if that's not good if he's probably playing. But and then last was it Cervanka Dennis out of Pittsburgh, if I'm not mistaken. Another linebacker that can add some depth to linebacker. He's a little thin, kind of like Owen is, but again, another position that we can use some more speed and athleticism, and that's exactly what Dennis offers. And hey, it's a 7th round pick that could have some value. Overall, I really like my my draft. Obviously, starting off with Bijan Robinson, I already threw that ball up in the air and I hit a home run with that. And then the added other pieces. Hey, man, I think I really did a really good job, and I want to hear what this panel has to say about my draft overall. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I'll go, man. I thought it was pretty good, man. Let me put it this way. I do not want Bijan to go to Tampa. Tampa's dead to rights to me. I feel like they're going to be basement bottom feeders of the division. And I don't need this problem on this football team in this division. I don't need it. I hope he goes somewhere else. So to me, that is the worst case scenario for Tampa. For me, I don't want that to happen. So the fact that it happened, kudos to you, brother, because I would have pulled the trigger too. I ain't mad at you for it. It was, hey, I've been one of the worst run teams in the NFL over the last few years. Give me him. And then to go with it, the rest of the draft, I'm not gonna go player to player. 50% of your draft was in the trenches. Bravo, brother. Bravo. Games are won and lost in the trenches. And so you gotta address the trenches because you need to, especially with your offensive coordinator, and you get a guy like Bijan. Now, all five weren't offensive linemen, but you were able to get offensive line depth, and you already have a lot on your roster. I don't know how they're going to play out, but you got a lot on your roster. So you got to be able to install a new system offensively, and the best way to do that with a defensive-minded head coach is by running the football and establishing a run game. So to be able to have Bijan and do that, I think is fantastic. And then what also helps your defense, because your secondary, you got some missing pieces there. You lost some guys, some things changed out on the line, all of that. You got to fill holes and get guys there to help out your secondary. And what better way to help out your secondary than to beef up that defensive line play? So what you did was bring in more competition. So I love that about that, man. You brought in a nickelback, somebody that can play safety, can also play in the slot, those tight end running back guys. And that was a good move. You had to do that. That's a position right now that you don't have filled. I mean, you got D. Delaney, but nobody else outside of that. You brought Neal in, and he's on the 1 year, so you needed a safety just in case he doesn't re-sign. So you have somebody that's played in the system. Hey, I'm not mad at any of this. It all made sense. Now, are these guys going to be huge difference makers? That's what we got to see. I don't know about the rest of the roster. I do like the linebacker, as y'all saw. If y'all haven't seen it, go check out the Carolina Panthers. I had them too. Plug. But yeah, man. But I had them too. So I love that pickup. It's just you got a lot of holes, and I thought you did a heck of a job filling them, man.
Got it, man. Hey, I'm going to echo what Mike says. Please, Lord Jesus, do not let Bijan Robinson fall to 19. I do not want to live in a world where I have to face Bryce Young twice a year, and then I have to face Bijan Robinson twice a year.
That's two of the top three players in this draft.
In your division. Like that's going to be tough, especially if we don't do much to match it, right? We need something that we can slap a 5 or 10 year Falcon too. So, but Tampa Bay, Bijan Robinson, I think, I know we throw around the word luxury pick. I think he will be a luxury pick for the Buccaneers. But if he is at 19, that's BPA. I feel like he's most undoubtedly the best player available at 19. You pick the best player available, and then you work with whatever else you got on your team. He's a potential, Hall of Fame player if he pans out with the trajectory that he's currently on. I just love his footwork, man. His feet, his vision is just immaculate, man. He sees cutbacks. He has dudes running into each other, open field. It's beautiful, man. You watch his stuff. His college highlights are like a lot of these 5-star kids' high school tapes. But he put on that type of tape in college. So that you don't do that, especially being at Texas. So I think right there, he's gonna anchor your draft. Anything you pick after that, will be building up on a B+ draft. Right? You snagging him at 19 is basically gonna give you a B+, damn near A draft with him alone. But with Tampa, they have to fill in a lot of holes that was created by the roster construction with Tom Brady. So you picked up your offensive lineman, your traditional Wisconsin offensive lineman. So those guys are just built differently, right? So he's an interior guy. You need interior help, but with Donovan Smith leaving, right? So what's your answer or at left tackle, right? So is Bijan important enough to take in the first round when you could possibly have, a tackle, some more offensive more elite talent help? I see you went with inside help in the second round. Do you guys have an answer on the outside? I know Tristan Wirfs is there, so you do have another tackle position you have to worry about as well. So you did go inside there. So kind of a little question there. Could you have went outside? What's your answer? Or do you plan to address it elsewhere? So kind of, a little question for me. Go ahead. What do we have? Can you pull it back up? You said you're big on your guy, Martin Quan there. So Quan, KJ Henry, kind of watched him. He's a guy, he has potential there, right? So you got Miles Murphy. Then me, I'm always skeptical about the other guy, right? If you're the other guy on the team, and then having to step up into the NFL, that's going to be a different level. So let's see how he pans out. He's a guy that I think he has potential, but let's see what he do. Linebacker, for me, Tampa is really, there's a lot of questions there, right? So you have your Devin White, but then also sneakily, right? There go Devin. So sneakily, you do have Levante David, who's on a 1-year deal. So you have potentially two prime linebacker positions that you got to address, right? So this is kind of addressing that, right? So you can at least backfill one of those positions and possibly keep Devin White, just mend that relationship. But you do have, I think Levante David is, just as much of a concern coming out of this season, after this season, as is Devin White, right? So, and then you do got your depth picks, which is Ryan Hayes, Strange, so all those other guys. So I think Tampa is in, they're beginning their roster reconstruction phase. So I think you just have to get good players in good areas. So Bijan Robinson is a great pick, but can you afford to take Bijan at that point? Right, but he's probably a can't miss player where, hey, I'll figure out what I'm going to do at left tackle later. But left tackle is like, you can make a break. As you can see, Donovan Smith did not have a good season last year, and the quarterback was highly affected by that. So you have to figure out a way to protect the quarterback much better, and you can probably protect him with a run game. So I get it. So, yep. But overall, great draft. I think Bijan and anybody, right, is Bijan and the Temptations at this point.
Big facts.
So just, I guess, to touch, my reasoning why I'm not as concerned at tackle as many people are. So we currently have 7 tackles on our team, and I do believe that they're looking at that. And then also you have Luke Gedeke, who you drafted last year out of Central Michigan, who was a tackle and looked god awful in the inside. And the one game that he actually looked like he could maybe play in the NFL, he played at right tackle. So that added another player I didn't even count as part of that 7. And we also did just bring in, as a veteran, Matt Fuller out of the Chargers, 9-year vet, been solid. He can play tackle and guard. So you have a lot of players, I think, interior, not just in general, on our offensive line. We got about 11, 13 players already on the roster that can play that. And obviously I added Joe and Ryan Hayes to that. So now we're talking about 15 to 6. You got a lot of players in a scheme that we know nothing about. Well, we got an idea if you look at the Sean McVay tree and how they play football. But you have a bunch of players in here that you feel confident you can construct a line when you still have players like Tristan Wirfs, who's an all-pro. You have, Ryan Jensen, who's been a Pro Bowler, been very strong at center, outside of his injury. Nick Leverett, somebody inside that had a little dog to him, decent player. Aaron Stinney, who had a hell of a run during our Super Bowl run, who, when Alex Kappa got hurt, filled in. You didn't even know he was playing. He played the entire playoffs for the most part. Got a lot of players right now. And again, Luke, he's going to play somewhere on this offensive line. And honestly, I don't think it's inside. You gotta, if he's gonna play in the NFL currently, it's gonna be at tackle. And it seems like they're moving Tristan Wirfs over to the left side. So
Okay.
yeah. So that's just my thinking of how I looked at it before I even came into my draft. Is what I believe this offensive line is going to be a lot of testing, which again, we got a new offense. We're going to see what it looks like. And if we come back next year and reevaluate it, all right, I understand now why I go tackle, but I'm not going to force a tackle when my favorite player is not there anyway. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get one just because they tell you need to get a tackle. And, I think reach for a player that's a little bit down the board just because you feel like, oh, he might be a little better than I got on the roster right now. That's just my current thinking. And Bijan, again, you can't go wrong with Bijan. And if you got to wait for a tackle next year, at least I got my running back, star player on my offense, which is Bijan. We'll figure the other stuff out later.
No complaints from me. I definitely agree with it. Push come to shove, I'm running that car for Bijan up to the podium if he's there at 19.
All right.
Rest later.
I know this is not going to be Buckland's favorite mock, but hey, let me know. There's some people out here I know that definitely agree with it, but there's a majority that think it don't matter. I don't care if the tackle is the 50 best player on the out there. You need to just grab him. Some people are just like that. That's not me. Grabbing the best player, and that's Bijan Robinson. But let me know what you think. Did I do good? Did I do bad? Do I suck? Please let me know.
You suck. Nah.
Yeah, it's gonna suck for the NFC South. That's what's gonna suck for, goddamn.
No, it's gonna suck to see that red and black on top, baby. Top man.
That shit ain't happening.
See.